Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Today's topic is an important topic because I want to talk about a slightly more technical topic, and this is related to Argalas. Now for those who don't understand Argalas, I have made a very simple video on what do Argalas mean and what do their placements in the horoscope mean, and given a more detailed description about Argalas. Today I am going to talk about Argalas placement in different houses in the horoscope. Now before we get into the Argalas in the 12 houses of the horoscope, while I'll give you the description of Argalas before you get into the details of this video, I would suggest that you watch that video about Argalas so that you understand this video better. Or you can definitely see this video first, but do go back and visit that particular link also about Argalas, the video that I've made about Argalas, which will give you a more holistic approach and help you understand Argalas better. Now, while we are on this topic of Argalas, for the uninitiated, what do you mean by Argalas? Argalas mean influencers, or those or that which influences decisions or results or manifestations in a certain area of the horoscope or a house of the horoscope, and hence they become very, very important. Now to make it very, very simplistic, we know about the Bhavat Bhavam principle in astrology, which means that placement of planets from each other or for one house to the other also gives a different manifestation, a different spin to the planets and to the planetary placements and to the results. So a planet which is placed 6th from the other planet, or 6th in the horoscope, or 6th from its own sign, or 6th from its own house, has a different meaning to when it is placed 7th, or when it is placed 8th, or when it is placed 9th. So placement of planets from each other or in houses or in certain houses from each other also give a different spin or manifestation to the overall results from the planet and to that of the house. So in some way the Argalas bring in that effect of the Bhavat Bhavam. I have made videos on planetary placement from each other, where I have made Sun versus Jupiter or Venus versus Rahu and so on. So I would suggest you see some of those videos. Though I have not completed the entire series, I will be making more videos on them. However, I suggest you see at least one or two of them so that you also understand when planets are placed from each other, what it means, and watch as many videos in that series, planets versus each other, as possible, because I have made 5-6 videos so far. I will be as we go on, I will be making more and more videos of those. So coming back to a simple definition, Argalas mean nothing but influencing ability of certain planets when placed from certain placements in the horoscope. So planets, when they are placed from any house in the 2nd placement or the 4th placement or the 11th placement, or in the 2nd house, 4th house or 11th house, from any house, they tend to give a strong influencing ability to all the results of that particular house, which means they can give good results or bad results, but they will definitely strongly influence. So planets in the 2nd house, 4th house or 11th house to any house will be able to influence strongly the results of that house. So for a person who is born in any ascendant, if you check whether you have planets in the 2nd, 4th or 11th house from your Lagna, then definitely the results of the Lagna will be strongly affected by the planets which are placed in the 2nd house, 4th house and the 11th house. These can be good or bad influences, but definitely the influence will be there. Contrary to that is the Virodha Argala. Virodha Argala means obstruction to the Argala, obstruction to the influence, which means that if planets are placed in the 3rd house, 10th house or the 12th house from any house, then they obstruct any influence, positive or negative, about that house. So planets which are placed from the Lagna in the 3rd house, 10th house or 12th house will affect the Lagna. Planets which are placed if you're looking at from the second house, the planets which are placed in the 4th house and then the 11th house and then in the Lagna itself will influence the placement of or results of the second house, for example. So that's how you see the Virodh Argala. So let's deep dive into understanding whether good or bad Argalas, positive or negative Argalas in the 12 different houses and how do they influence you. So because we know that planets placed in the second house, 4th house and 11th house from any house give more strong influences, positive or negative. It depends on what kind of planets are placed in the second house, 4th house and 11th house from any house. So if in the second house or in the 4th house or in the 11th house there are more benefic planets, then they give a positive influence to that house. But if there are more malefics placed in the same house, then they will also give a strong influence but negative influence or malefic influence. On the other hand, the Virodh Argala means that if there are more planets placed in the 3rd house, 10th house and the 12th house compared to the 2nd house, 4th house and the 11th house, then they will not allow, whether positive or negative, the results of the influencing ability of the Argala causing planets placed in the 2nd, 4th and 11th house. That is the most simplistic definition of Argalas. I know it's slightly technical, but anyways, if you watch the other video which I was talking about, you will get more clarity. So let's jump into how do you deal with Argalas in the 1st house. Argalas in the 1st house mean whether positive or negative. If there are positive Argalas in the 1st house, that means there is more strength given, there is a more catalytic opportunity given to the horoscope and to the person to be able to extract better results about himself, about his thinking ability, about his standing in society, about his health and his overall life. He will be able to do the purpose of his life better. He will be able to understand the meaning of his life better. He may be able to carry better health, which means whenever challenges in terms of thinking ability come, he will be able to think fast on his feet. He will be able to take quick decisions. He will be able to take good decisions and he will get more positive output of the 1st house with respect to his dignity, his stature, his health, his thinking ability, in general overall good results in life. On the other hand, if there are negative Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and the 11th house, which means malefic planets placed or inimical planets to that ascendant placed in this house or these houses, or there are more planets which are of negative quality on these houses, then there is negative Argala, which means influencing ability of the planets is still there. However, the planets will bring more challenges. Then the person will have to struggle harder. For any result in life, he will have to struggle very hard. He will have to work put in double the effort that others put in. He will have to work harder to manifest his health properly. All his decisions may not go right. In fact, many of his decisions may go contrary. So these challenges the person will always feel. So if you have positive influences or positive Argala in the 2nd, 4th and 11th house, it is good news for you. Check if there are more benefic planets to your ascendant in these houses, and then you can know that you are most helped, you are most strengthened by the zodiac to carry on your life's goal, your purpose of life. But if there are more negative Argalas, then be prepared to put in more effort, work towards the manifestation of the planet which are causing the negative Argala, and carry a life of ethics and morals and be ready to face the grind. Otherwise, overall results in life, because it is pertaining to the Lagna, may not come to you. Now about the 2nd house. If there are more positive Argalas from the 2nd house or about the 2nd house by virtue of the houses in the 2nd house from the 2nd house and the 4th house from the 2nd house, which is the 5th house, which means the 3rd house, the 5th house and the 11th house here and the 12th house is here, because now we are looking at the 2nd house. So the 3rd house, the 5th house and the 12th house having positive or benefic planets here to the 2nd house manifestation or the 2nd house sign lord, then you will get better results out of this, which means better results out of the 2nd house means better lifestyle, concerning livelihood, concerning your ability to make money, concerning your ability to be able to save money. You will be able to live your life with better principles, better values. You will also be somebody who will bring in more respect and more pride to your community, to your tribe. Your family may be looking up to you. The family may also feel that you have brought them good honor, and you may also be of a good lineage. Many times you may be born in a family which is good family, has good standing in the society, has good respect. Every time it does not mean you will be born in a rich family, but you may be born in a family which is rich in respect, rich in tradition, rich in arts. So something or the other you will find that the family is rich in. So here, after many days, Ewok is back. Ewok, come here, say hi to people. There she is. So Ewok is back again here, and she's been sitting near my legs, near my foot, and so I've allowed her back in my video. Otherwise, I would always close the door and not allow her to get into this video. So, but after many I think after many months, I have allowed her back into my videos. So okay, so I've allowed her back. So she will remain here at my near my legs. So while we do the videos, if she is some disturbance in between, there are noises which are not of the human kind, so you know where the noises are coming from. So in the second house, if there are positive Argalas, second to the second house, or 4th to the second house, or 11 to the second house, which is the 3rd house, 5th house and the 12th house, having positive or stronger benefic causing planets, then you know that you will be able to do all these good results. You will be able to get better results out of the second house, better dignity, better income, better savings, better assets, better pride, and you will also find that you will be able to talk very well, more flowery language, and you may also be able to speak more than one language. Sometimes even 3 or 4 languages some people may be able to speak when they have more positive Argalas about the second house. But if you have more challenging Argalas or malefics placed in the second house, 4th house and 11th house to the second house, that means tougher results in terms of earning, tougher results in terms of earning a livelihood. It won't be easy for you to have a easy livelihood and earn good money easier, and you'll struggle towards your livelihood. There may be breaks in between, from job to job, or from business to business, or from business to career, and vice versa. So definitely it won't be a smooth sailing. You will also find a tougher time in the family that you're born with, in your relationship with your parents or with your siblings. And you will also find that many times you may move away from the values that the tribe or the community or the family that you represent. So it won't be smooth sailing if you have negative Argalas about the second house. So be prepared for a grind in terms of earning, in terms of being able to stand by your principles, in terms of how you are able to use your language well, not to become harsh or temperamental in your language if you have negative Argalas in the second house. Now about the third house, if there are negative Argalas or tougher Argalas in the second, 4th and 11th house to the third house, then of course there will be challenges in terms of communication ability, in terms of how people are able to understand you, how you are able to market yourself, how you are able to brand yourself, how much effort you are able to put in your work, how much you are able to contribute, how much energy you find in your work, how much willpower you find in yourself, how much motivation you find in yourself. All this will happen. However, if there are more positive Argalas or positive giving Argalas or benefic planets placed in the second house, 4th house and 11th house to the third house, which means then you will be able to put in less effort and get more. Your communication abilities will be great. People will find you very, very approachable. People will have an instant liking to you. The moment you open your mouth, people will be able to relate to you. Understanding will be much better. Rapport with people will be much better, and you will be able to get along with people much better. So if you find that you have challenges in your communication and how people are seeing you, how well you get along with people, how much your effort is able to give you back the fruits of your labor, then definitely check for whether in the 4th house, 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house from the 3rd house, whether you find there are more malefics or Argala causing planets which are negatively obstructing getting better results. Now about the 4th house, if you have more positive planets or benefit giving planets in the second house, 4th house and 11th house from the 4th house, then you will find that you will be able to do very well at a materialistic level. You may enjoy great relationship with the mother, you will have more happiness and peace at home. You will also be able to collect assets and quicker and faster. Many times I have seen people buy one property and before they could even pay out for one property, they have invested in another one. And by the time they have just done the registry of the first property, they have gone and bought a car also for them, and then suddenly they have gone for a holiday, and then they have a new member in their family. So things happen one after the other quicker, and you settle down very, very fast if you are more positive Argalas or influencers for the 4th house, which means there are benefit giving planets in the 2nd house, 4th house and the 11th house to the 4th house. Then there are all positive areas in a domestic front and making assets. However, if there are more challenges in the 2nd, 4th and 11th house where there are more malefics placed, then they will still be able to strongly influence, but now negatively, which means you will find challenges at home. You will not be able to get along with family. You may not be able to settle down easily. Sometimes there may be happiness and suddenly without warning there may be challenges in the domestic front also. Suddenly there may be some accidents to the car, or you have to sell off some car because it is not keeping well, and it is keeping well in the sense you have to send the car again and again to the service station. Breakdowns are more often. So if you find that on the material assets, on the tangible assets that you have collected or you find challenges here and there, you don't find peace at home, you don't seem to have happiness when you reach home, and there is always disturbance, then check for are there negative obstructions because of these negative placements in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house from the 4th house, which means that from the 4th house, if you see the 2nd house, which is the 5th house for example, so that's how you see the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house from the 4th house. The 4th house from the 4th house is obviously the 7th house, so keep that in mind. So these challenges will be coming, so check on whether there are challenges or negative obstructions of the 4th house, and be able to be ready to put in the grind, hard work, and be able to pacify the malefics by keeping better behavior in the direction of those malefics, get them to their side, so that there are lesser negative obstructions to getting better results of the 4th house. Now about the 5th house, if there are positive or benefic Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to the 5th house, then the 5th house will be rewarded, which means you can have better performances in arts, you may have better performances in anything which is related to artistic or media or presentations. You will be able to make great presentations for your organization. You will be able to present very well. You will be able to convince people very well, whether it's through your performances on stage, through singing, through dancing, through music, or being in acting, or anything that you do, or even in a corporate environment, wherever you are in front of the camera or front of people, where your performance is being seen, where there is a spotlight on you, you will be able to do very, very well. Children may do very well. Children may come easier in your family, or after you are married to the couple, the children may come easier. The children will also find a slightly easier life than the others, and the children may also later on in life support you. You will also be able to have some hobby that you will be able to do very well because of you having positive Argalas or positive influences about the 5th house. On the other hand, if you find that there are negative or malefics placed in the 2nd house, the 4th house and the 11th house to the 4th house, then to the 5th house, then you will find you will face more challenges related to the children. You will face challenges related to investments, speculative investments especially. You may face challenges in romance. So if you find that generally you are in and out of romance, relationships are failing, you are not able to extract good gains, good money, change of job is frequent, or good changes are not coming along. If you have to change the job, you have to struggle to get a better job, or even the same profile, then check if there are more negative Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and the 11th house from the 5th house, because the 5th house is an important house. It's a trine house, and it's better if you know that in advance, so that you can do something about it rather than live life by default. Now about the 6th house, if there are Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11 to the 6th house, so 2nd house to the 6th house obviously will be the 7th house. The 4th house from the 6th house obviously will be the 9th house, and so on. So if there are benefic planets and friendly planets to the 6th house lord placed in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to the 6th house, then such people can do very, very well in service. Such people can attract a lot of gains in service. In fact, their first job itself can be a good job, or the struggle to grow in the job may not be very strong or full of hardship. It will be easier growth, even if it's a slow growth, because the 6th house is the house of service. Unless you serve, and you serve well, and if you don't serve it with a lot of commitment, with a lot of hard work, with a lot of responsibility, then obviously the 6th house will not support you. But if you are able to do all of that, then the growth will also happen. Sometimes maybe it may be slow, but it will always be gradual, but it will be stable growth that will come to you. Such people may also attract good roles and good organizations. Even if it is slow, there will be stability in their jobs. They will also be able to carry on in that job for a long time, and unless they make a change, generally the organization will not ask them to leave. Secondly, you will also be able to score over competition. You will be able to do better than your team members. A lot of times you may be able to do well in competitive exams also, and you may also have a good digestion. Many times whatever you eat, you may also be able to digest. Fewer problems, stomach related problems may come to you, because you have more positive influences in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house from the 6th house. So if you have positive Argalas or positive influences to the 6th house, make the best use of it, because this could be one of the best placements you have, because 6th house is the Dusthana, and if the Dusthana has benefics associated with it and it started to give you good results, so major problems in your life is averted. About the 7th house, if you have more positive benefit giving planets or positive influences in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to the 7th house. The 2nd house to the 7th house obviously is the 8th house. The 4th house to the 7th house is obviously the 10th house, and the 11th house to the 7th house is obviously the 5th house. So if you have positive results giving or benefic planets and or friendly planets to the lord of the 7th house, then you will find that you will be able to do very well in partnerships. You may be able to do better in teamwork. You may be able to get along very well with spouse. Usually such people may also attract a spouse who is not only good looking but also very amiable, also of a very understanding nature. And there are fewer challenges. Many times what we do is, when you have positive Argalas in the 2nd, 4th and 11th house, we by own nature, we spoil results about the 7th house especially. This is also because this is opposite to the Lagna. So you also sometimes complement or get opposite results because you are not able to handle this well. So 7th house is the tricky house, even if you have positive Argalas in the 2nd house to it, 4th house to it and the 11th house to it, unless you are a little careful in your relationship. So be a little positive in relationships, give a lot of space, be more understanding, be more friendly in your relationship, and you will find that you will be able to attract goodness in relationship, goodness in partnerships, do very, very well in business. It almost gets related. The better relationships you have in your personal life, in your marital life, that much better you seem to be doing at business, because they are both connected. So if you have positive Argalas about the 7th house, it can be a very, very good thing where you have good happiness in the marital life, you have good team members, you can do very, very well in business, and you can have a long, stable, cherished life and cherished success as well. Now about the 8th house. 8th house, as we know, is also Dusthana, just like the 6th house. So if you have Argalas in the 2nd house, in the 4th house and the 11th house to the 8th house, it's always a good thing, because then you are able to get better gains out of the 8th house, because 8th house can be a really tough house to manage. Sudden issues, sudden challenges, sudden problems which you can't help but have to drop everything and then rush. Firefighting mode, always being in the firefighting mode is what the 8th house can bring to you. So if there are more positive influences in the 2nd, 4th and 11th house to the 8th house, then it's a good thing, because the challenges of the 8th house are reduced. Such people make money suddenly and sometimes without expectation. Growth comes to them without expectation. A job change may come to them without expectation. A good role may come to them without expectation. They get quicker and faster breaks also in life, and many times the breaks may come to them without thinking. These people may also buy a property without thinking too much. They have not thought so much. They start to look for a property, and just, they must be just looking around, not even sure whether they have the money, and voila, suddenly everything falls in place for them and they get a property. They may also have a house, and from those sources which they had never assumed or never thought about, they attract gains, especially about the 8th house. Such people may also face sudden issues, but the problems seem to go away very fast also, or these people become very adept at facing these challenges because there is more positive Argalas connected to the 8th house because of better or benefic or friendly planets placed in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to the 8th house. The 2nd house to the 8th house is obviously the 9th house, the 4th house to the 8th house is obviously the 11th house, and the 11th house to the 8th house is obviously the 6th house. So keep that in mind, that it is from the house we are talking about. But on the other hand, if there are negative Argalas, negative influences in the 8th house, then God help you. This can be a very tough life, left, right and center problems coming where you are just not able to handle them. You're always in firefighting mode, you're always dousing out some fire or the other. You are sometimes handling health challenges, sometimes handling challenges in your relationship, sometimes handling challenges in your career, sometimes handling challenges of finance, sometimes handling challenges from the authorities also. So it can be really tough placement then. So if you are facing this kind of a life where you are running around like a headless chicken, not knowing what to do, when to do, good results are not coming to you, sudden untoward incidents come to you, then there can be more negative Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to the 8th house, which means there may be challenges in your 9th house where you have more malefic planets placed in the 9th house. There may be more negative or malefic planets in the 11th house as well as in the 6th house, which are the 2nd house, 4th and the 11th house to the 8th house. So then be more careful, try and placate the malefic planets placed there, have better behavior, have more moral behavior, ethical behavior, and try and see that you are able to you are better prepared in terms of documentation, in terms of insurance, always wearing a helmet when you are driving, ensuring all your papers are intact, and not taking too many things in hand, not taking more than you can chew. Keeping the priority list small and short will be an easier life for you then. If you have more positive Argalas to the 9th house, which means there are about the 9th house, 2nd house to the 9th house, 4th house to the 9th house and 11th house to the 9th house, you have positive Argalas or you have benefic planets placed there. The 2nd house to the 9th house is obviously the 10th house, the 4th house to the 9th house is obviously the 12th house, and the 11th house to the 9th house is obviously the 7th house. So if there are more benefic planets placed there, then you get very good results. You may get good education, high education is not tough for you. Getting into good universities may also not be tough. Even if you don't get into the best of universities, you may still go to the decent universities and you may make something out of your education. So if you have positive Argalas to the 9th house, such people generally will use education to their advantage. Sometimes even if they are not working in the same line as in which they have got education, they will be able to use the education to further their career. So if they have an MBA, then the MBA will help them to get leadership posts. If you have learned some extra language, that extra language will help you to be able to push your career. Or because of the influence of father or the blessings of gurus, or getting some good guru or even a leader who you look up to as a mentor, you may be able to strike gold, whereby you may be able to do better. However, on the other hand, if there are more negative Argalas to the 9th house, which means in the 2nd house to the 9th house, the 4th house to the 9th house, or the 11th house to the 9th house, you have more malefic planets, then long journeys may not be suitable for you, may not give you good results. Going to foreign lands, even for trips, short programs, work related, may not give you good results. Working with different people from different cultures may not be easy. So working for a foreign company, which means you keep long hours, there are challenges. You may get into larger organizations, definitely that may still be possible, and that too MNC. However, you may not be able to grow into that role as fast as you want, as fast as you may like to do. So if there are negative Argalas to the 9th house, be a little careful. Seek the blessings of the father and the guru, and try and placate the planets which are in the 2nd, 4th and the 11th house from the 9th house. Be on ethical behavior connected to them, and do those areas or work on those areas which those planets represent, so that you can reduce the malefic intents or the negative Argalas of the 9th house. If there are more positive Argalas about the 10th house, which means there are 2nd house to the 10th house, 4th house to the 10th house and 11th house to the 10th house, which means the 2nd house to the 10th house is obviously the 11th house, the 4th house to the 10th house is the Lagna, and the 11th house to the 10th house is the 8th house. So if there are more benefic planets in them or friendly planets to the 10th lord, then you will find that career will be easier than a lot of others connected to your life, which means you will find that you and your friends may have passed out and done more or less on the same even keel in terms of education, but you may have had a slightly better race in the career, which means you may have attracted better brands, you may have attracted better supervisors, you may have had better relationships with the managers, and you may be having decent relationships, if not the best, with your bosses, supervisors and your team workers. And you may also be able to work in an industry of your choice, and you may be able to still grow, even not very fast. At least you will get stable growth in your job, stable role, and you will have at least a decent career. Ups and downs everybody has, but your career will be better off than a lot of others who studied with you or who have grown up with you. On the other hand, if there are more negative Argalas, which means in the 2nd house to the 10th house, 4th house to the 10th house and 11th house to the 10th house, if there are more negative planets or malefics connected to malefics in reference to the 10th lord, then you will not get very good results. You will face challenges in your career, you may have issues, you may not get along with supervisor, job changes may be frequent, leaving one job and getting another one of equal keel or even better may be very, very tough. You may have a lot of hard work that you do at work, yet you may not be able to enjoy the growth, you may not be able to get that appreciation. So if you have facing such a situation where the growth is not easy, appreciation is not good, relations with bosses and supervisors or with team members are not great, and there is not a deep satisfaction in your job, or even just an okay satisfaction in your job, there is always this tug of war which is happening, there is always this anxiety and frustration, then check for if you have negative Argalas or negative planets or malefics in this 2nd house to the 10th house, 4th house to the 10th house and the 11th house to the 10th house, then because of these negative influences you may be attracting challenges in your career rather than being on top of things. So then placate those planets, be on the better behavior related to the planets, strengthen those planets so that you can have an easier life connected to your career. Now about the 11th house, if there are positive Argalas about the 11th house or to the 11th house, whereby in the 2nd to the 11th house, 4th to the 11th house and 11th to the 11th house, you find that there are positive results giving planets or benefic planets, then you will find that you will be able to enjoy better gains in general in life, especially connected to what your wishes and desires are. So generally, because the 11th house is also the house of wishes and desires, such people will be easier to attract wishes and desires to themselves, but with a lot of hard work, because it is an Upachaya house. So the harder that you work, you will be able to manifest your wishes and your desires better. One by one the wishes and desires will come to you. Slow and steady the wishes and desires may be fulfilled one by one over a period of time, but they will be as long as you put in a lot of hard work, you keep your relations intact, you maintain good society relations, you have maintained a good social circle, you maintain a strong network, then you get better results. On the other hand, if you don't keep good results, if you're too haughty, if you're too arrogant, if you're always in a bad mood, or if you're too temperamental and you don't have good results, or you don't have good friendships, you don't have good network, then you'll find that your wishes and desires will also not be fulfilled, because there are negative Argalas where you have malefics placed in the 2nd, 4th and 11th house to the 11th house. Then you will also find that in terms of long-term growth there won't be any stability, and you will also find that you will not be able to grow very high, or the highest excellence of your career you may not be able to go, because there are negative Argalas to the 11th house. Now if you have good presence of mind, and if you are able to see that there are Argalas, and if you stitch in time saves 9, if you are able to do that, then you can get very, very good results of the 11th house. 11th house is one of the most benefit giving houses. Don't ignore negative Argalas in the 2nd, 4th and 11th to the 11th house, because this could be one of the most trying placements for negative Argalas. Now about the 12th house. The 12th house is again a Dusthana like the 6th and the 8th house, but the 12th house is also connected to your spiritual life, to your salvation, to your moksha itself. and elevation to the next realm, elevation one level up from the level that you are in the where your soul is. So positive Argalas to the 12th house connects you very strongly to spirituality. You may not be very religious, but you will be more spiritual. You will also believe in a higher power. Which power you believe in, what name that you call that power by is immaterial, but there will definitely be some power that you feel exists, which supports, which is around you, and which will also be helping you, because there are positive Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to the 12th house. Then you will find that you may be able to keep away from losses, because the 12th house is the house of losses. So many times last moment you will be saved by a loss. You will have a gut feeling where I should not do this, I should not go with this person, I should not invest in this property, I should not take up this offer, I should not talk to this person. Somewhere the gut feeling will be there, very strong spiritual connection will be there, and the supreme energy and the zodiac comes to your rescue more often than not. You will also find that you may enjoy good sleep at night, long hours of sleep at night. However, you may sleep late at night. Many times you may be doing something or the other, because of which the sleep doesn't come early, but you will enjoy good sleep. But if there are negative influences about the 12th house, then you may find that you don't keep good health, you have challenges from the authorities, you get court cases, court notices, even police cases against you, there may be harassment against you, there may also be aggression against you. You may not be able to keep the purse strings tight, you may be spending more than you earn, and many times getting good results in foreign lands or connected to foreign clients or some foreign connections may not happen well for you. Many times it is difficult to go to foreign lands, and many times to do well in foreign lands is also a challenge. So if you have more negative Argalas connected to the 2nd, 4th and the 11th house to the 12th house, then try and ensure that you keep good health, basis your moral and ethical character also, and you placate the planets which are the negative Argala causing planets. You be on your best behavior, try and connect with the Lord more often, trying to be more spiritual, try to be more giving. Then you will find that the negative malefic result giving planets will be placated, and you will have an easier life. So friend, this is the result of the Argalas in the 12 houses of the horoscope. If you are finding that in any area of your life you are facing tremendous challenges, tremendous issues, then look at connected to that house if there are negative Argalas in the 2nd house, 4th house and 11th house to that house, because that negative results are coming. If you find that you are getting more neutral results about a house, however you work hard, nothing much happens there, not so much bad luck but not so much good luck either, then you may have Virod Argala, where you may have planets placed in the 3rd house, 10th house and 12th house to this house, because these are obstructing any results, good or bad, for you in the respect to areas of this house. So keep in mind, keep a deep dive in your horoscope, understand your horoscope better, understand the Argalas better, whether positive or negative, understand the Virod Argalas better, and based on that take your life forward. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation for me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time with some other video, please follow me on Instagram. Ciao.